Every year, you are deceived by the fantasy football consensus, a.k.a. the consensus. Last year, they told you Najee Harris is outside the top 10. He was outside of all top 10 rankings. Last year, they told you Robert Woods was ranked ahead of Cooper Kupp. Last year, they told you Ayuk was ranked ahead of Deebo Samuel. Last year, they told you Nick Chubb was a top 10 running back. He finished outside the top 10, busted. Last year, they told you Dalvin Cook was a top 3 running back, finished 16th amongst running backs last year. And I could go on and on and on. Amon-Ra St. Brown was a sleeper. Jamar Chase was ranked outside the top 30 amongst wide receivers. And on and on and on we go. Well, this year, we are doing an episode here. Sit back, buckle up, relax, grab a coffee, pause the video, whatever you're doing. If you're driving, enjoy the drive. I'm going to sit down and talk about 10 huge fantasy football deceptions and lies in regards to the way the rankings are laid out going into the season. This is a huge episode, guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to be informative. And it's about time we start talking about the truth going into the season. We know last year's lies. Now, if you don't know last year's lies, wake up. I just gave you a bunch of them. And there's a ton more. Just go take a look at last year's rankings. Take a look how they finished. Renfro wasn't in the top 10, but he finished. And I know things change from year to year. But it's about anticipating and seeing things that are blatantly obvious. And that's what we're going to get into in this episode. We're talking 10 huge fantasy football deceptions. Let's get to it right now. Let's go. All right, guys, 10 huge deceptions for fantasy football 2022. The truth revealed in this episode. Now, there's way more than 10 deceptions, but I want to, lay out the 10 that are jumping out at me, that are blaring out at me. The sirens are going. They're like saying, Joe, something is wrong here. Something doesn't add up mathematically. Something doesn't make sense to me. Something seems copied and pasted. Some players overrated. Something just doesn't seem right. When I'm looking at the consensus rankings, I got 10 of them for you. I'm super excited to dive in. Now, if you have not got it, I'll give you an opportunity to pause the video, get the 16-round draft solution, use code TUBE20, that's TUBE20, secure the truth, okay? Because this is going to help you guys crush your leagues. You knew where to draft Najee Harris last year. You knew to avoid Robert Woods last year and draft Cooper Kupp in the 4th round. You knew Deebo was the guy. Deebo came onto my podcast last year. He was on my show. I was telling him directly that he was a top, wide receiver one on his team, right? So the truth, guys, is in the 16-round draft solution, sleepers, breakouts, optimal players to draft in each round, printable cheat sheet if you need it, video training, full mock drafts. Everything you need is in the 16-round draft solution, guys. Secure the solution, secure the championship, guys. You will win with 16 rounds. I'm telling you guys, it works. So secure the 16-round draft solution, guys. I've linked it below here, or head on over to thefantasyfootballcouncil.com, or just simply Google 16 rounds draft solution on Google and use code TUBE20 upon checkout. All right, guys, go do that right now. All right, let's talk about these huge deceptions. I'm going to dive right into it, and we're going to go off on tangents. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk. We're going to converse. We're going to use logic. We're going to use common sense. This is the common sense corner, guys. This is lying mentality. These are the fantasy front lines. We don't mess around here, guys. This is the real deal. So if you're not subscribed, click that subscribe button, guys. It will help you crush your leagues. And again, comment below. Let me know if there's anything that seems a little bit off for you. Okay, I want to know. I want to hear your perspective on things that seem a little bit off for this fantasy football season in regards to the rankings and the way the advice is being delivered. Now, everybody drafts. Not everybody, but the mainstream consensus that constitutes your casual league mates draft predicate on the ADP, on the rankings. That's not how you're going to win. You're going to have to reach sometimes, but you're going to make sure you get the right player to reach on. All that's laid out in 60 rounds, and I'm going to talk about it right here. So first, huge deception. The first one here is that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense as a whole are complete busts. Okay, stick with me. According to the rankings right now, and I'm going to talk really slow today. I'm going to lay it down. We're going to be methodical. We're going to be logical. We're going to be meticulous with our approach. But I'm taking a look at this, guys, right now. Aaron Rodgers sitting 12th amongst quarterbacks. Now, typically they copy and paste stuff, but sometimes the Chiefs do crazy stuff. They don't copy and paste, and they kind of just go off their stupid opinion or some sort of like weird popularity contest or something like that. Obviously, Adams is gone. He's no longer there. 169 targets are now freed up. Aaron Rodgers last year finished 5th amongst quarterbacks. This year, Aaron Rodgers is sitting 12th amongst quarterbacks. All of a sudden, he gets this massive downgrade to the loss of Adams, and I kind of understand that. He loses an elite receiver. I get it. Stick with me. His top receiver on paper right now going into the season, which I don't know if he's going to even be the top receiver because they brought in Christian Watson, their first wide receiver off the board that they picked up in the second round, 3rd overall pick for them. Christian Watson, ultra elite talent, great speed, freakish athleticism. Okay, Lazard is sitting 46th amongst wide receivers. Why? He's a wide receiver 1 theoretically to Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to calm down here. Watson's sitting 70th amongst wide receivers. This is amongst wide receivers. This isn't even overall. Overall, he's like 100, I don't even know, 180, 150, I don't know. I don't know the math off the top of my head. Let's just focus on the class that they're in. Watson is sitting 70th amongst wide receivers. Lazard is 46th. Tunyon, who had himself a phenomenal campaign a couple years ago. I'm going to pull up his numbers here right now, okay? I think we're going to have to go back to 2020 here. Either way, as far as I remember, I'm going to pull it up here either way. Robert Tunyon, I got it right here. 586 yards, not huge. 11 touchdowns, 52 receptions, 59 targets. He caught 52 out of 59 targets when he was healthy. Had the ACL injury, is going to be supposed to be good to go for week 1. 11 touchdowns. Could be a touchdown machine with Adams gone. Sitting 17th amongst tight ends. This guy's always available later in drafts. The point I'm trying to make with this huge deception here is, guys, this is Aaron Rodgers, and he is pushed to the wayside. Like nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers since Adams is gone. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yet Adams is copied and pasted to last year, and his stats completely are the same, and he's still a top 3, top 4 wide receiver, even though he got a downgrade at quarterback, and he's going in as a wide receiver 3 on paper, because Renfrow was the one last year, peaked at 128 targets. The year after, before Waller got hurt, he was healthy the year after. Waller in 2020 had 145 targets. So they're still there. So theoretically, rapport-wise, and I don't care if they played together in college, Adams is the wide receiver 3 compared to the rapport that the Carrs got with Renfrow and Waller. But the point I'm trying to make, and I'm exaggerating the point, is how is he copied and pasted and then, Rodgers and his receivers take a complete dive? Makes absolutely no sense. Deception. These guys are sleepers and great value and fantasy football steals. Okay, there's your first huge deception. Packers are busts, apparently. It's crazy. I mean, I'm going to get these. I'm stashing. Watson's on all my leagues stashed. Crazy. All right, deception number 2. Matt Ryan is a complete bust and he sucks. I feel deceived, and we're going to go off. There's a couple points to this, so stick with me. Matt Ryan, one of the best pure passers, pocket passers in the league. Yes, he's kind of in his sunset twilight years of his life. But this guy is completely under the radar, sitting 19th amongst quarterbacks. This man, okay, let me put it to you in perspective here, okay? Last year, you got to understand some of these guys like, Russell Wilson, they kind of had enough in being in certain homes and certain places after a certain amount of time. They get kind of bored. They're kind of like, I'm done with this. I want a new change. I want a revival in my career. So they get bored. So Matt Ryan was in the absolute worst case scenario. Finished 19th amongst quarterbacks. Ironic, he's 19 again. Wow, what are the odds of that? So he finished 19th. This is one of his worst seasons last year. Obviously, he was under pressure a lot. The O-line sucked. Atlanta didn't know how to run an offense. They were a disaster. He lost his main receivers. Ridley wasn't there. Julio wasn't there. It was just a disaster completely. Kyle Pitts was in his rookie year. Now in comes Matt Ryan on an offense that is primed to succeed. Now, they don't have any elite receivers on paper going in, but don't sleep on Alec Pierce, which we'll get to in a second. Matt Ryan, guys, to put this in perspective, is in a much better position. He's going to revive his career. I still think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to win a Super Bowl with the Colts here. Improved O-line, more time to do what he does best is throw out of the pocket. Now, I know they're going to be theoretically a run-first team, but that's where I think Jonathan Taylor takes a decline. I think that he's not going to get as much volume as he did last year. I think Matt Ryan's going to throw, and the beneficiaries are Pittman and Alec Pierce. And again, here's where the deception is. And point number 2 here with Ryan is a bust. How is Pittman a top 13 wide receiver coming off in the third round. You guys love Pittman, the Consheep says, yet you hate Matt Ryan. Again, I got to pause for a second and just let this process for a sec because it's not making sense to me. Make it make sense to me. All right? I don't get it. So Matt Ryan's a steal in drafts, the point I'm trying to make. He's not a bust. He's going to have a good season. And again, he's a backup in a lot of my leagues this year. I like him. All right? Huge deception number 3. Apparently, Tyreek Hill and Waddle are both going to be elite. Now, we had this situation happen back in 2020 going into the season. Godwin was coming off a great season. Chris Godwin had this pinnacle season. I think it was 2018. Give me I need a refresher here. I think it was 2018. Let me just go back here. I want to be 100% certain here. 2019. So was it 2020 he had that good season? Either way, Godwin's coming off this huge season, and everyone's like, hey, guys, you got to draft Godwin the next year as a top 10 guy. And they also put Evans in that class. I'm like, hold on a second. Godwin is coming off this huge season. How do you have both Godwin and Evans in the top 10? It's because Godwin had that. It was 2019, by the way. Godwin had 1,333 yards, 9 touchdowns, and finished second amongst wide receivers, 276 points, just behind Michael Thomas that year. So the year after, everyone's like, you got to get Godwin. He's going to, they copied and pasted him, but they knew Evans was the one. So they're like, hey, man, like Evans is the one. We got to put him top 10, but we also got to put Godwin there because we got to copy and paste him because it would be stupid if we didn't. Deception. What ended up happening that year is Godwin busted. I think he finished, I can't remember where he finished. I got to pull up where he finished. He definitely finished outside the top 10. I'm going to pull it up here. Godwin actually finished, I think, 20th or some ridiculous number like that, completely busting out of his ADP. And that year, Evans finished 11th. I see 11th here. Evans finishing 11th here, and Godwin finished 31st that year. And I was telling people, don't draft Godwin in the second round that year. Okay, so going back to number 3, apparently Tyreek and Waddle are both elite. Man, I don't know where to start here, okay? Like, I could say that I'm going to fade Tyreek completely and just go Waddle here and get the better value in the third round. I can get Tyreek here, Waddle bust. But understand this. I'm fading both, and understand that Waddle peaked last year, guys, and I want to emphasize this. This is very huge here. Waddle peaked last year, guys, at, guess what? 141 targets. So when I look at it, I'm seeing, Tyreek had 159 targets last year. So mathematically, how does this make sense? Stick with me, guys. Make it make sense that right now, when I'm looking at the rankings, Tyreek Hill is 8th. Waddle is pretty much copy and paste. He's 16th in PPR, and he's coming off in like the third round, typically. Sometimes he slips to the 4th. So make it make sense that Tyreek Hill is going to duplicate last year's numbers. He's not. He's not going to get 159 targets. How is he going to get 159 targets when the number 1 wide receiver, who's still there, okay, stick with me here, common sense corner, who's still there, peaked at 141 targets, 104 receptions, 6 touchdowns, and just over 1,000 yards. And ironically, let's go to tip number 4 here, or huge deception number 4. I'm so used to saying tips. Let's just dive into it. Tua is an average quarterback. He's 16th on the consensus rankings. Hold on a second. You love Tyreek Hill. You are saying to me, okay, and logic, common sense corner, mind thinking here, Tyreek Hill is going to finish as a top 10 wide receiver, and copied and pasted from last year. That's predicated on 159 targets with a downgrade at quarterback. He's got Tua. He had Mahomes last year, and Tua is pretty much a bargain in your bins. He's a quarterback that you don't love. He's 16th amongst quarterbacks. Make it make sense. If Tyreek and Waddle both finish in the top 15, which is where they're ranked, top 15, top 16, Tyreek Hill duplicates those numbers, has himself 159 targets. Waddle, for him to be a third-round value, has to duplicate last year's numbers, so he needs another 140 targets, okay? Then Tua's got to be a top 5 quarterback, right? Or you downgrade, if you think Tua's a 16 quarterback, right? If you think Tua's behind, guys that, let me just pull it up here. It's loading slow here. If you think Tua's a 16th guy, then it doesn't make sense. Again, I'm just trying to make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. So the bottom line is this. I am fading all 3 of these jerks, all right? and the jerks that ranked them super high. I am fading all of them and keeping my life simple because none of this makes sense to me. All right. None of it. Are you on the Tyreek train? Are you on the Tua train? Are you on both trains? It just none of this makes sense to me, guys. Make it make sense. All right. So I just gave you 3 and 4 huge deceptions. Tyreek and Waddle are both going to be elite apparently, and Tua is average apparently. Again, throwing two top 50 wide receivers. It doesn't make sense. All right, number 5, big deception here for you guys. Huge deception here for you guys. Deception is Aaron Jones is an RB1. Is he though? Now, again, I'm not a mathematician / statistician / left-brained analytical guy here. I'm just a guy who knows fantasy football really well, can analyze depth charts, understands player performances, knows talent, studies volume, studies snap count, studies opportunity, studies depth charts, and all that fun stuff. But I'm seeing right now, Aaron Jones is sitting 9th on the consensus rankings in PPR amongst running backs. But there's a big but here. And again, I'm talking slow today. I really want to hammer these points home because I want somebody in the comments to make this make sense. By the way, I want to get this video to 1,000 likes as well. Going off on a tangent here. Once we get this video to 1,000 likes, and if you're in the car, go to the YouTube video, go to my YouTube channel, Fantasy Football Counselor, check this deception video, and click like. We want to get this to 1,000 likes. I'm going to be giving away a 16-round draft solution. I forgot to say at the beginning. I keep forgetting to plug that. Every time we hit 1,000, I'm going to go to the comments and give away a 16-round draft solution to a lucky listener. And if you got 16 rounds, I'll give you a 365 community membership. And if you got that, I'll give you a credit or a t-shirt for next year. I'll give you guys something. So going back to number 5 here, deception number 5. Aaron Jones is an RB1. But when I look at the stats here, when I go to Green Bay here and I filter and I'm looking at who the RB1 was last year, right? Sticking on this whole copy and paste stuff. A.J. Dillon was the RB1 who had more attempts. Believe it or not, I don't know if you guys know this, but A.J. Dillon had more attempts than Aaron Jones. Now, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not some sort of brain surgeon. I'm not that smart. But I will tell you this. On paper, when I see a running back having more attempts than another running back, that would be a key performance indicator or a key indicator in my mind that running back, okay, that running back that's getting more volume is the RB1. All right, where's my applause? Is there an applause button? Oh, that's not it. That's not it. There it is. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, all right. So let me say that again. So the running back that has more volume, more attempts is the RB1. Is that correct? Let me hear that again. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, I know. All right, I got that out of my system. So I'm trying to hammer the point home here is that you're paying too much for Aaron Jones. Now, the only debate I have for this argument that I'm having is that, yes, Aaron Jones could see an uptick in receptions. Adams is gone. I'll give him that. But Dillon, in regards to attempts, in regards to rushing yards, 803 yards compared to 799 with Aaron Jones. And in regards to rushing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns to 4. Dillon was the guy. Now you could say, well, Aaron Jones played 15 games started compared to Dillon, who had 17. I don't care. I'm not overpaying for Aaron Jones when I know Dillon's there. I might fade both of them, but I might grab A.J. Dillon for value later. But either way, huge deception to think that Aaron Jones is a second-round pick, knowing that A.J. Dillon is performing a lot better than him and getting more volume and younger and stronger and a better running back overall. Okay, huge deception. Don't be fooled. I'm fading Aaron Jones, all right? Number 6 here. Hunt is non-existent. That's my deception. Apparently, for the past couple years, they keep telling you Nick Chubb's a top 10 running back every single year, and Hunt doesn't exist. Yet, when you look at it statistically, Hunt outproduces Chubb in PPR points every single year. Except for last year, he got hurt. Chubb still busted with Hunt being gone. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Chubb is currently still sitting 13th amongst running backs. Go look at the stats, guys. It's a committee. It's a split committee, yet they still tell you to draft Chubb in the second round. Last year was the first round. Now he's dropped off. They're finally starting to wake up. It's like throwing cold water on a person. Like, what? Am I awake? You dummies. Guys, Chubb is not an RB1, yet they still treat him like an RB1. It's absolutely ludicrous, okay? Kareem Hunt is non-existent, is the lie, and it's been a lie for years. Kind of like that Odell Beckham Jr. lie. Odell Beckham's elite. Draft him in round 1. 4 years in a row, he busted. 4 years in a row, they deceived you with Odell Beckham Jr., telling you he's a first-round pick. BS. He busted every single one of those years, and I avoided him every single year. So let's continue on here with that one and move on to number 7. Apparently, Saquon Barkley absolutely sucks. And again, his ADP is actually going up. He was ranked 17th. He's up to like 11 amongst running backs, sliding into the consensus top 10 almost. Yet they love Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey played 10 games the past 2 seasons. Okay, what a deception to say that CMC is a top 2 running back and Barkley's a top 17, who's now moved up to 11 because they're waking up and I keep promoting Barkley. Improved O-line, check. Contract year, check. 2 years removed from injury and healthy, check. Why is Saquon Barkley being slept on, yet CMC is being loved? It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense to me, guys. Make it make sense. If you want CMC at 2, put Barkley at 3. What makes, and again, I love the value. I'll take Barkley second round after I've gotten Henry. That's fine with me. But what I'm saying is, like, make it make sense. Well, Joe, CMC's proved more over the past couple years, you know. He hasn't done shit for like a couple years, like 2 years. All right, so I'm done with this conversation. I'm drafting Saquon for value. I'm fading CMC. Way too expensive for me. All right, let's move on here. Let's keep going here. Cook will finish a season is the deception. Number 8. Cook will finish a season is what they want you to believe. This is a lie. This is the deception. This is not the truth. Yet Cook is now still, even though he busted last year, they won't stop riding him. They love him. He's one of those guys that they're just so biased on. I love my Dalvin Cook. I won't let go of Dalvin Cook no matter what he does. He does not finish seasons. I don't want Madison as my backup. When I draft a workhorse, I'm going to speak very slow, and I may be preaching to the choir here. When I draft my RB1, I don't want to make sure I secure a handcuff. I don't want to draft Dalvin Cook and the whole draft think about, you know, when am I going to get Madison? Is Madison going to get like if you got to think like that, don't draft Dalvin Cook. If you like playing fantasy football roulette, meaning, what is that? Meaning he's guaranteed, like one of those chambers has a bullet. One of those, you know, a 3 week period in the season is going to have Cook miss time. So it's a matter of you saying, I'm going to draft Cook and I know he's going to miss 3 weeks. Guaranteed. Because he's done his entire career. And I think this year is going to be his worst. I think he gets a catastrophic injury. He's already been paid. He's already been incentivized. Why is he going to go kill himself out there on the field working his ass off? Doesn't make sense. All right, so for me, Cook will finish a season. I doubt it. I'm going to say that's a big no, but yet they led you to believe that he will because they have him as a top 3, top 4, top 5 running back. Lie. Deception. No for me. All right, number 9, huge deception here. Cooper Kupp, Taylor, Adams, Hill, and on and on, all of these guys that finished on top last year will finish in the exact same position they finished last year. Because that always happens. Because Cooper Kupp is going to have another 191 target, 16 touchdown season, because that's logically going to happen again, because Cooper Kupp is like a god. Apparently Cooper Kupp won't, suffer the Super Bowl hangover. Apparently Cooper Kupp, they haven't caught on to what he did last year. He won't see any double coverage. Apparently Cooper Kupp will do the exact same thing he did last year. That's what they want you to believe. And that's why he's on all the magazines, not this magazine, but he's on a lot of the magazines. That's why they love him. But last year, these are the same people that told you Robert Woods was ahead of Cooper Kupp last year. Apparently, Tyreek Hill, downgrade at quarterback. Okay? With a true wide receiver 1 there. First round draft capital pick, the Miami Dolphins pick Jalen. On the clock, the Miami Dolphins select at their first overall pick in the 2021 draft, Jalen Waddle. He's still there. But Tyreek Hill will perform this exact same way he performed with Pat Mahomes. Devontae Adams, who's got an ultra-elite quarterback, is going to take a downgrade at quarterback, a significant downgrade for that matter, to Derek Carr, where his number one and number wide receiver target's already there in Renfro last year, a reliable clutch target, red zone target. Waller, big red zone target, big ultra-elite talent, big guy that they believe in. By the way, Waller's ranked as a top 5 tight end, just to let you know. Apparently, he's going to finish on top as well. He's a top 4 tight end. Apparently, Waller's going to have himself a fantastic year, and so is Devontae Adams, going to duplicate his numbers again. He's going to get 169 targets. Devontae Adams is copied and pasted to last year based on the exact same stat. Like, he's going to finish the exact same based on they think he's still with Rodgers or something. Yet Rodgers is chopped liver right now. Make it make sense to me. Somebody in the comments, my brain hurts with this stuff. It really hurts. So apparently, guys, again, you're saying, well, Joe, there's going to be shut up with the slight decline. They're not going to finish the exact same way. There's going to be a decline. When you come off a pinnacle year like that, you climb Mount Everest, and then you're like, hey, man, I'm just going to keep climbing an extra. No, you're on the top already. Unless you leap down and find a higher mountain or something, or fly to a higher mountain, you're already on the top. There's no way but down. There's no way. If Cooper Kupp duplicates those numbers, this exact same or more, I will quit fantasy football forever. I will forfeit the brand to the Kinship. I will bow down to the Kinshipsis if Cooper Kupp duplicates those numbers. He's not going to happen. All right, and number 10 here, guys. Players that suck that are ranked too high. Again, this could be a whole other episode. I'm not going to get into it too much. Players that suck that are ranked too high. And again, this is a huge deception. Let me give you a couple names here, guys. And I don't see the hype. I don't see the fascination in these guys. I don't see, DeAndre Swift is the top 8. Make it make sense. Oh, it's an improved O-line. It's, they've done this and that. They got Goff. They're better this year. He's a workhorse. He can catch the ball. I don't care. He peaked at 151 targets last year. James Conner, the top 15, second, third round pick, had a pinnacle year last year. Okay. He's not that great, right? There's a ton of guys that just AJ Brown. Why? I can sit here all day. I'm not going to, but AJ Brown, guys, top 12. This guy busted significantly. They told you top 10 last year. He finished 30th amongst wide receivers. Make it make sense to me. He's not good. DJ Moore, I think he has a decent year with Baker there this year. But, they've always promoted this guy to be a top guy. He's never finished near the top. DJ Moore sucks. Again, I can go on and on and on with players that suck that are ranked very high, or players that have had years to wow. I mean, I'm not wowed. There's this whole thing going on now with Rashad Penny being the starter. And I went on a huge rant on Insta about this on a reel. And I'm just going to end it off on this note. Could Rashad Penny take off and be ultra elite? Absolutely. Could be, but very unlikely. He's had years to wow us. We're not wowed. He had 5 touchdowns, something low like that. I don't have his number in front of me. I should pull it up, but 5 touchdowns the past 3 seasons. Just had a good stretch near the end of the season, but when he played the Rams, averaged 2.9 or 3.9 yards per carry, completely busted in that game. Did well against the Lions and the Bears, whoever they played near the stretch, but when it came to the real team, he sucked. Guys, they brought in Kenneth Walker in the second round. He's going to eat. He should be the RB1. Penny's had years to wow us. We're not wowed. I don't care if he was a first-round pick in 2018. If you've done nothing since 2018, we're going into 2022, you're not good. All right, so bottom line is stash Walker, avoid Petty. All right. And again, I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about all these stuff. I could be wrong about this whole episode. Tyreek Hill finishes on top, 159 targets, becomes a top wide receiver. Adams gets 160 plus targets, becomes a top wide receiver yet again. Cooper Kupp duplicates those numbers, becomes MVP yet again. Absolutely crushes it. Becomes the best wide receiver of all time. Hall of Famer, solidifies his position as Hall of Famer. Cook finally finishes the season, finishes as a top running back. Tyreek and Waddle both finished top 10. Tua, finishes 16th amongst amongst quarterbacks. His wide receivers finish in the top 10, and Tua somehow manages to become 16th amongst quarterbacks still, apparently. Pittman finishes top 10, top 13, and Matt Ryan completely busts, finishes 19th. Aaron Rodgers completely falls off the board, right? Lazard comes a bust. Watson never does anything, doesn't even get the ball, and Robert Tonyan gets hurt again week 1. Anything can happen, but I doubt it. I'm leaning towards that this is deception. I'm leaning towards that I'm right, and I'm leaning towards you guys should get 60 rounds because you can see all the deception and all the BS, and none of this stuff makes sense. And these are just 10. It would be a 10-hour episode if I picked and nitpicked through every one of these guys. That's why 16 rounds is there, where I go through all this stuff with you. Give all the optimal players draft each round, sleepers, breakouts, everything you guys need all in one spot, guys. So make sure you guys get 16 rounds. Listen, I appreciate you guys. Hit a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if this episode was great. Were you entertained? Does it make sense? Love to get your feedback. Thanks, guys, for being here. Appreciate you. I'm out.